Okay, now taking a look at Crystal's work and first her assignment 2, which looks pretty good. I think like Tracy's, we see, an even interval and a dramatic change between areas of overlap. And once more, it's striking to observe how dark the blue over the green seems to look, but I feel it's believable. Now, on to her assignment 3 and first part 1 with transparency. There's a nice regularity to this. It's been set up with care, clearly using guides and so on. And there's a sense of compression. Those green bars seem to be squishing the diamond shape toward the inside. And then I also feel as though there's a potential for a spinning or pinwheel action with a transparent yellow square and the red one behind it. It's nice that the blue squares are behind, and then there's one smack in the middle in the center, sort of pinning everything together in the stacking order. Now, on to the depth piece, which I think is improved now that we don't have that transparency effect in the corners. It was a little distracting having that saturated color jumping out at us. I know she's used a cool, or maybe we should say a cooler color for the backdrop. In the paint color wheel, the backdrop color would be considered cool, but in the digital color wheel, violet is actually a warm color, interestingly. It certainly is a color that contrasts with yellow. Now, one little thing I'll say is maybe those two first rows of yellows could have a little more interval, or let's think about this. Is there a big jump between the second and the third row back? Somehow things could be perhaps a touch more gradual in that zone. And then on to Crystal's color vibration piece, which is really nice. This could have been a simple checkerboard. Mary, taking a look at your work here in first assignment 2, well, I do see a change between the areas of overlap there. However, it seems like the interval is maybe a little more close between center and right, but generally I think you have the idea. I'm just going to pull out the color picker and verify that those vertical blue bars are same in terms of RGB values, and they are. Now, I'm taking a look at your transparency part in assignment 3, and I think this is improved. At first I thought I saw 2 red bars at bottom, but now I see one's been changed, so it's more orange, which is a nice transition. The only thing I'd say there is that the orange and yellow bars seem to be kind of close together compared to some of the others, and I would use the rulers and guides to make sure that all that spacing is very neat prior to putting this in your portfolio. It's very close to being perfect, almost. Now, the pink piece here must be depth, and at first I misplaced that file, I'm sorry to say, and I did give you some feedback that it was, though it was a little on the late side. I'd like to ask you to go and find that in the drafts discussion. Because I think it will give you some ideas. There's a picture aspect of it that shows how you could use half of this design in order to gain more symmetry by copying, pasting, and rotating. So in terms of depth, well, this file is a little bit hard to read, and we saw this in other works as well. The thing is that light colors advance, and so does saturated colors, so it's a little hard for the eye to decide which part is meant to be perceived as being near and which should be far away. In terms of vibration, you've got a nice set here with saturated colors. Hi, Anika. I'm taking a look at your works, and first your assignment 2. I do like that. I think it's pretty good. Could be the case that the interval between the two leftmost areas of overlap is a touch closer than the right 2 areas, but I think you're pretty good here. Maybe I'll pull out the color picker and just ensure that the RGB values are same for all of the violet bars outside the areas of overlap, and they are. Now, on to your assignment 3, and this transparency image is really quite lovely. In case, for some reason, you didn't see my draft review, I want you to go back and find that because I think that this design works better if repeated. At first, it took me a little while to figure out what your system was, or if there was a system, and there is, and it's clearer in repetition. Now, I see you've used repetition in the depth piece, and I like the changing of colors there. That's a nice work, of course, as things move toward the center, they seem farther away with the duller, darker colors. You've got that concept. Now, on to vibration. Well, this is improved, yet still, I don't see that central set of bars as being as consistent or as centrally placed as it could be. For example, the vertical bar, second from right, looks skinnier, and there's more room at the right of this set of bars than there is at the left. So to remedy that, I'd say make yourself one bar and copy and paste it, and then line them up with the help of a guide or two, and then I group them together. You could do that with layers in Photoshop, or by grouping objects in Illustrator, and budge them pixel by pixel to the right or left until everything is centered nicely. Hi Shani, I'm taking a look at your work here. First assignment 2. Well, I can see some understanding of the concepts involved, but something's going just a little bit haywire here, and it even looks a little like the template problems we've seen elsewhere. But I don't think you made this with a template, so I'm not sure what is up. Do you observe that there's a little violet line around your area of overlap there at the left? That shouldn't be there. So maybe posting your PSD, I think this was probably made in Photoshop, in the Photoshop Learning Center would be a good idea. And you can ask, what's up there? You know, those guys are specialists, and they can help you troubleshoot with funny little instances like this. And I remember you were struggling with a template last time around too, so I'm sorry you're meeting with these similar problems. Let's see. I think the colors for your areas of overlap are pretty good. I just want to get in there and check the RGB values for the yellow color outside of the overlap, and they are identical, which is what the assignment requires. Now, onto your transparency piece. You know, when I reviewed this in drafts, I thought it was a depth piece. It's a format that's been used by many students for depth. In fact, I'm kind of bored of it. So it's interesting that you're dealing with it here in transparency. But, you know, even though you may be using transparency here, because we can't see any areas that aren't overlapped, it's hard to grasp the concept of transparency. Also, I would say that this is very neutral file color-wise, and because we're trying to make the color do tricks, I think you'd be better off with some colors at least that have a higher saturation. Now, on to what is actually your depth piece, which I like very well in terms of concept. Making things smaller was a good idea in conjunction with desaturating color. You've got two design ideas cooperating there. And I would just say that this file could probably stand a touch of fine tuning. For instance, there's a slim white line between a couple of shapes toward the center there. I would just get back in there. So I'd get back in the center there and close that gap with the right, left, up, down keys. You know, they're good for fine increments, budging things just a little bit. Now, onto your vibration piece, and there is a quality of vibration, no question. The colors are not same value, and it can be a job to achieve that. Few color sets are warm and cool, fully saturated, and also same in value.